I'm Patrice Patrick Banks, and I am the owner of Darren Ideas, and I'm happy to be here with you guys. If you guys want to, what I typically do when I go to trainings is I have a parking lot. And I put this parking lot on the wall. And during the training, if anyone has an aha moment, if they have a question, or if there's something that they want me to circle back around to, they're actually able to get up and walk over to the parking lot and write it on the parking lot. Well, since we're virtual today, we're not going to be able to use the parking lot that we would normally use. So if I refer to the parking lot, that's referring to the chat box. So you guys want to make sure that you put any questions that you have, or any aha moments, or anything that you would like for us to come back around to during our Q&A. Make sure you're putting those in the chat box, and we will be paying attention to the chat box for you. So again, my name is Patrice Patrick Banks. So first, we're going to start off with a icebreaker. And I know sometimes people are like, I hate icebreakers. I do not want to do an icebreaker at all. I absolutely hate them. But we're going to do an icebreaker. So in the description, you guys were told to bring paper, or to bring Post-it notes, or to bring note cards and some type of writing utensil. So hopefully you guys have that. For this first icebreaker, hopes and fears, I want to know on one note card, sticky note, or a piece of paper, if you can write down what you guys hope to get out of this session. What do you guys hope to get out of today's session? On that second note card, I would like for you guys to write your fears when it comes to hiring individuals or hiring the wrong person. What are your fears when it comes to hiring the wrong person? Then I want you to read both of those out loud to yourselves. Now, I have two note cards here in the presentation, one blue, one green. The blue is the representation of what I hope to get out of today's session. And what I hope to get out of today's session is that you guys have gotten something out of today's session. And on the green card, or the Post-it note, I have on there a fear that I have of hiring the wrong person. And that is, I'll have to do it all over again. Who wants to go through the process all over again? So I have worked very hard at coming up with a strategy for hiring the right person. So I'm going to give you guys a few seconds to write those down. Ready? Go. And only a few seconds. Think really hard. Think really hard. All right, we're going to move on. So just for today's agenda, we've already done the introduction. We've gone over the icebreaker. We've discussed the materials that you guys should have with you. We're going to go over the objective and a little more with the housekeeping. So for today's objectives, objective 1 is organizational structure and culture can lead to hiring the right talent. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Objective 2 is creating an interview strategy that rocks. And for number 3, we're going to talk a little bit about the overall experience, employee experience, by helping an employee reach their full potential. Okay. Next we have, sorry here guys, another icebreaker, the bubble name. So with the bubble name, you guys need to take a piece of paper, and I want you to write the first 2 letters of your business or your organization's name in bubbles. And within those bubbles, I want you guys to write down some pain points that you guys have when it comes to culture, organizational structure, or your hiring process. And we're going to come back to these. So just write down bubble letters. I know some of you are in your bed, but I hope that you brought pen and paper with you to bed. Look in your nightstand. You might have to look in your nightstand and find some. But I want you guys to write down bubble letters, the first 2 letters of your business or organization name. And then inside those, write pain points that relate to your culture, organizational structure, or hiring process. Okay? I'm going to continue on while you guys are kind of writing that in. So hiring the right people for your mission can be very daunting, I know. I'm going to put this into 3 stages. So we're going to go from in the beginning, the middle, and I hope that worked. So in the beginning, before we can even think about hiring anyone for our business, we need to make sure that we have a good culture and organizational structure that is compiled of values and ethics. You want to create a culture that's going to fit your mission and your vision. We have to start there first. We can't get to the middle, or I hope that worked, until we have started get to the middle, I hope that worked, until we get the beginning together. So your foundation is important. I saw this and I couldn't help but to put it into this presentation because I thought it was hilarious. The devil is telling the angel that he doesn't fit into the corporate culture. So what is culture anyway? Culture refers to the beliefs and behaviors that determine how a company's employees and management interact and handle outside business transactions. Often culture is implied, not expressly defined, and develops organically over time from the cumulative traits of the people the company hires. An organizational structure is a system that outlines how certain activities are directed in order to achieve the goals of an organization. These activities can include rules, roles, and responsibilities. Rules, roles, and responsibilities. Common issues with company culture. One is constantly hiring the wrong person, or constantly hiring for the same position. You're constantly hiring for the same position. I have some people saying they can't hear me. Can everyone else hear me? If you can hear me, put it in the chat box that you can hear me. Can you guys hear me now? If you can hear me, okay. All right, whoever that was, if they can make sure that they are checking their good, perfect. So one is constantly hiring for the same position. I see this all the time. I get complaints about this all the time. And then that's when we have to have a serious discussion with leadership. Number 2 is the breakdown in communication. Communication is key. It is very key, very key. Lack of consistency from leadership is another big one. Okay, so often you're at work and you get this, we were supposed to have a staff meeting to discuss things that will probably never happen. If you guys have ever had that happen to you at work, please raise your hand or say yes in the chat box. Please raise your hand and say yes in the chat box. You expected something to happen. Leadership told you something was going to happen, and nope, it didn't happen. And how frustrating was it? Very frustrating, I'm sure. So implementing change in the culture and structure. I have here a pyramid with the leader at the top. And it's saying that 1, your behavior as a leader is very important. It is very important because your employees are following you and following your direction. Communication is very important. Just like we have to have communication within our relationships, we have to have communication within our relationships at work. Communication is important. Consistency, transparency, honesty, empathy, and respect. We need to have those when we're in director, leadership, and management positions. We also have to establish clear goals. Listen to your team, build a good working relationship with your employees to help build relationships amongst the other teams. So you want to make sure that you're building a relationship with your employees, and then that your employees are building good relationships with themselves within their team. You need that in order for the business to be successful. When everyone gets along, productivity happens. So culture, there's a few other companies out there that I really like their culture, but when I saw Horology's culture, it's a software platform that helps companies manage their employee lifestyle. And with this company, they have offices all over the US, all over the world. And there's one thing that they try to make sure that they're consistent in is that although your office might be in Japan or you may have an office in Chicago, it doesn't matter. The rules, the regulations, are all the same. Everything's the same across the board. It's consistent. So their company's culture is inclusive. And empathy and communication are key to building relationships and enriching experiences. I want you guys to get that. Empathy and communication are key to building relationships and enriching experience. So, one word. What's one word that you would use to describe your business or company's culture? Put it in the parking lot. One word that you as a leader or as a manager, you're leading a team. What's one word within your company that you would use to describe your culture? I have emerging. What else? I have one person there. I'm pretty sure someone else has something. And if you don't, you should have something by the end of this. Unity. Unity is very, very important. Unity is important. Come on, I need a few more. We have emerging, isolated. Oh, we have to work on that isolation. Changing, community, unity and community. That's good. Emerging. Thank you, guys. Now that you've decided what your organizational structure and culture is going to be, let's decide on your business needs, okay? You need to know what your business needs are in order for you to be able to hire the individuals to fill them. So now we're moving to the middle. Decide on your business needs, create a job description, post the position, pre-interview, interview, consult with your team, screening process, and then the follow-up. Yes, I know that's a lot to have to do in the middle, but it all has to be done. So decide on your business. If your business or organization has not properly divided the responsibilities of your current team, you will not be able to properly hire new talent to fill positions that you have. You don't know what positions you need to fill. So what happens? Disorder makes it hard to make business decisions. Disorder makes it hard to make business decisions. 2, most of the time businesses are not sure who they need to hire, so higher level employees take on multiple responsibilities. Multiple responsibilities. But what happens when you take on multiple responsibilities? There's an increase in mistakes. Projects are not being completed. Employees feel disengaged, and it causes irritation and disorganization amongst the other employees that are there. So just imagine you're working for an organization and you're the HR person, you're the tech person, you're the janitor, you're the web developer, and the social media content creator. Believe it or not, that has happened. And I know being a small business and being an entrepreneur that you have to do all of that stuff to get started. But when you start to bring other people onto your team, you want to make sure you know where to bring them on to and what you're going to need the most help with, okay? Business needs should be based on objectives of the business and the strategic plan. Now, if you don't have a strategic plan, that's fine. Use your business plan. If you don't have a business plan and you don't know how to do a business plan, the videos will be up next week, I believe, on YouTube. You need to check out Cassandra Patrick's YouTube, where she did her event yesterday and she worked with Prosperous Us. Prosperous Us went through the whole process of how to create and do a business plan. But there are some examples here of needs that you might need in your business. An assistant, an office manager, marketing, or digital content creator. And I can see a few of these now that some organizations probably do need. So it's time for your pre-interview. One thing that you want to most definitely consider when you're doing your interview process is bringing individuals in from the team that you're hiring from to help with the interview and the selection process. A lot of the times within the human resource department or within leadership within another department, they're not quite sure or understand the pain points that the other team's having. So if you have someone that comes in to kind of help from the team that you're hiring for, it will be very beneficial, okay? So you want to have also more than one person in on the interview as well, okay? More than one person in on the interview as well. That's going to be very helpful. I know this is probably hard to see. You guys are probably squinting. That's okay. This is just a sample job description. A lot of times I see job descriptions and I'm thinking, who wrote that? You want to make sure on your job description that you have the title, the posted date, the application due date, the type of position it is, and the start date. It's up to you whether or not you want to put the salary on there. It's not really necessary, but you do want to make sure that you're putting in your job description information about your mission, what your culture is, and then you want to talk about the position that you're hiring for, the responsibilities, the experience required, the required qualifications, and the desired qualifications. Now, I got a question last night that said, a person asked me, well, what's the difference between a required qualification and the desired qualifications? Well, the required qualifications are if you have your degree and years of work experience around the job that we're posting for, okay. But we would really like an individual that may have a PhD or an MBA. So that's really the difference between the two. But if you give a very descriptive job description or job posting, it's easier for the individuals that are coming to apply for the jobs to know whether or not, hey, maybe I won't be a good fit for this company's culture, or maybe I'm not experienced enough for this job, okay? Now, it's time. Yes, it's time to post a position. A lot of the times with organizations that I've worked with, they've had a hard time trying to figure out, okay, where do I post my position? I've tried the newspaper. I've tried putting it on job boards within the city. I've tried sending it to friends. These are just a few good places to post your jobs on: Indeed, Glassdoor, your website. You can post positions on your website, social media, as well as industry websites. I think industry websites are often looked over. And what I mean by that is if you are posting for a business position or administrative position, you can post on the National Black MBA Association's board if you're a member. You can also, if you're looking for someone within Parks and Recreation, there's a Parks and Recreation board as well that you can also post your jobs to. So there's different places that you can post your jobs to, but your website is probably really going to be key because a lot of people go to your websites. How are you guys doing out there? Hanging with me? Okay. Interview techniques has to be my favorite. I love doing interviews. Absolutely love doing interviews. Took some time to kind of master them, but absolutely love them. I thought this was interesting, and I had to black out some of it because it was a little inappropriate for today, but I thought this was kind of funny because a lot of people that I know that have to actually do interviews for positions, they absolutely hate it. And then they'll come back and tell me some of the responses that they had. So I thought that this comment was pretty good. But with interview tips, I like to do icebreakers in the beginning of the interview. I don't know too many people that do icebreakers in the beginning of an interview, but I love to do icebreakers in the beginning of an interview because it kind of helps the candidate's nervousness. It kind of releases them a little bit and kind of relaxes them. And once they're relaxed, then I can go in with the interview questions. And I also pay attention to nonverbal communication. So a sample for icebreaker I have here is, what's one item that you don't have already you would most like to own? So what one item you don't have already would you most like to own? And you guys can answer that too. What's one thing that you don't have that you would like to have? Okay. Sample interview question is, pitch our company to me as if I were buying a product or a service. This gets them every time. And this is how you know whether or not the individual has actually went online and gathered additional information about your company. If someone has not gone online to gather additional information or doesn't know anything about your company, I'm not going to hire them because you're not passionate. I want individuals that are coming in to interview that are passionate, which is why that job description is very important. Another one can be, what's the last term you searched on the internet and why? That gets them a lot. That gets them a lot. Okay. The third one, how did you prepare for this interview? I've gotten that question in an interview before, and luckily I had done a lot of preparation, so I was able to answer the question, and then afterwards I asked them about it, and they said, hey, that tricks them up every time. And I told them I was going to use that when I got a chance to do interviews, and I use it. So those are some interview tips. The screening process. The screening process can be very daunting. But with this screening process, we want to make sure that we're conducting a background check. Too often, companies do not conduct a background check. Okay, and you have to make sure the process is the same for everyone. You can't do a background process for Sarah and do a different background process for David. Like, that's not going to work. You have to make sure that there's consistency. We talked about consistency. It needs to be there. So there should be no exceptions, whether it's a friend or a family member, which I don't like really hiring friends or family members for positions because it can get kind of murky. You want to make sure you're checking references. Make sure that the references are not friends or friends of a family or a relative or a neighbor. Because most of the time, they're going to give good feedback in regards to that candidate. The neighbor, oh yeah, I've known George, and George is just a good boy, and I think he'll be good for the position. And then George gets in there and you're like, the neighbor didn't tell the truth. So I highly go against that. I've had an interview and the young man put his sister on, and as a reference, and the sister actually said, no, he won't be good for the job. So I appreciated her honesty, because it turns out, yeah, he wouldn't have been good for the position. So that's happened one time. You want to ask for dependable references, professor, an advisor, or even an employee. Sometimes depending on the position that you're trying to fill, putting an employee or employee on there or a coworker on there could be really good. Now, those are the references that I've gotten back that I really like. And then depending on the positions you're filling, most companies give a pre-skill assessment for that. How many of you guys have ever had to do a skill-based assessment to get a job? I've had to do it and they suck, but I understand why they do it. I really do. Okay. Post-interview tips. Be kind, guys. Make sure you be kind. Be respectful. Send an email to the candidate about their interview. Number 2, follow up with the candidate. Provide positive feedback. Do not lead the candidate on. That happens a lot where an individual has gone in for an interview and you're waiting around and you're twiddling your fingers, you're twiddling your thumbs, and you're scratching your head. Did I get that interview? You're emailing, you're calling, and there's no response. You want to make sure that you're giving a response or giving the candidate feedback so that they won't have false hope for a job that they're not going to get. You want to make sure to let a candidate know if they're no longer a candidate for the position. You want to make sure to create a personalized email or letter. Personalized email or letter. There's nothing worse than receiving an email or a letter from a job that you've applied for, and you can tell that, okay, this is just a cookie cutter letter or email that they send to everyone. Okay, it's already bad enough that they didn't get the position. So to do something that's a little bit more personalized says a lot about your organization and says a lot about you. So that's something to take into consideration. If the candidate asks for positive or asks for feedback, what did I do wrong? What could I do different? What's on my resume that I can change? So most people say, I don't have time to do that, but it will be much appreciated if you could. You know off the top of your head what that individual did wrong or what you didn't like or why you guys didn't want to hire them. So to just take a little bit of time to respond to them in a few short sentences will be very helpful, and it will give them encouragement to apply for another position. All right, take a deep breath. I see that we have some questions and some comments in our parking lot, and we will most definitely get to that. But I want you guys to take a deep breath because that was a lot of information. So take a deep breath in. Those of you that were in your car and in your bed, I hope you're still there. Raise your hand if you're still there and listening. Okay. Congratulations! You've hired the perfect candidate to come in and work for your business or organization. You guys are excited. You don't have to do that part of the job anymore. You have someone else to do it for you. Perfect! But it's not the end. You guys still have work to do because now you have to shape the overall work experience for the individual that you've hired. How many of you guys have ever seen the movie Taken? This is probably how some of you guys feel when you have someone that comes in and you're like, okay, they're in here and now I have to go meet them. We have to do, yes, you do, because that's a part of your business and organization culture, okay? So the act of process, onboarding is the act or process of orienting and training a new employee. Good onboarding leads to higher employee engagement and greater retention rates. Trust me, it does. Okay. Now I'm going to tell you guys a little story, and this story is funny but not funny. So no, I don't know these people on this picture. I don't know them. When I was 15 years old, I got my first job working with the Salvation Army summer camp in Detroit. And I was so excited to be working this camp. But when we got to camp, there was little or no information for us in regards to what we needed to do. We literally just had a schedule. We had a schedule. And so we were playing with these kids, and I'm like, these kids are kind of bad. Like, what do we do with them if they're acting up? So, and then a lot of the other employees, they were complaining and they didn't like the job and they wanted to quit. And I was like, wait, you guys can't quit. I'm here by myself. If you quit, no, I'm not quitting. So I came up with a few ideas and I tried to go to the manager and talk to him. And the manager says, oh, Patrice, I'll get to you tomorrow. Tomorrow came, he never got to me. The next week came, I went to him again. Hey, I really have a few ideas for the camp, some things I think we could work on. At 15, I guess he's thinking, what does this little girl know? Oh, I'll get to you, Patrice, we'll get to you. So I was frustrated, and I remember going home and talking to my mom about it. And so what happened is I ended up talking to the woman who actually got the job for me. And I told her, hey, I have ideas for the camp and the manager is just not paying attention. So she actually spoke with him. And the next day he came to me and said, yeah, Mr. Roby told me that you had some ideas. And so I'm like, oh, wow, it took someone else to come to you for you to actually listen to me. And I told him yes. And so we had the opportunity to sit down and we talked about it. And he's like, oh, you have some really good ideas. Duh, I've been telling you that. So we had the chance to talk about it. And he moved my position to a camp coordinator. So I had the opportunity to work with the employees there, and I was really excited. And the first thing I asked them was, okay, what do you guys want to change because this isn't working? That's important. A lot of times I think we have individuals that have good ideas and they want to give some of their skills or feel that they can do more than what they're doing, and we totally ignore them, and we can't do that. So that's where the onboarding comes from. Onboarding, you want to make sure that you're challenging the talent, encouraging idea sharing and creativity. Make sure the work environment is safe so team members are free to share their genuine opinion. Hostile working environments limits creativity, and I've been in hostile work environments. Sense what's happening and then apply the observations to create goals or goal-oriented projects that fit that employee's goals and skill sets. Most definitely, you're going to have to be patient, and it's going to take time. I know it's going to take time. This was another one that I saw too, because I could just see myself sitting in the office and someone saying, but it can never be done, and me saying anything is possible. So communication and making sure that we're communicating with the work performance. How many of you guys have ever worked with procrastinators? Raise your hand or say yes in the parking lot. You've ever worked with procrastinators. I have a remedy for that. You have to give them the look. For procrastinators, you want to identify who the procrastinators are without micromanaging them. You want to monitor their day-to-day productivity, and once you've identified their workflow, then you can move in to get them on the right direction. Decide which approach will suit their effectiveness and work and help their team ultimately the company meet deadlines, improve customer service, and increase productivity. Identify what their strengths are and remove their distractions, okay? Meet the employees where they are. Discuss job-related skills. Discuss and ask them, what is it that you want to do in this position? What is it that you're looking to get out of this job? Not saying that you're going to stay here forever, but you're going to have to get some skill out of the position that you're in order to move forward. Structure clear limits. Give them expectations, and you can give them options as well. I've had tons of employees that were procrastinators, and I used the tips that are here, and it actually worked. It took me a little bit to plug in what worked and what didn't work, but this has turned out to really work. The complainers. Do I have to do that? I'm sure you guys have complainers. Yes, I don't get it. I'm confused. Sure you are. With the complainers, you want to encourage idea sharing and creativity, okay? Sense what's happening and then apply your observations again to create goal-oriented projects that fits the employees' goals and skill sets. Same thing for procrastinators you have to do for the complainers. Ask them what their interests are. You might have to move them to a different team. Again, you might have to give them option A or an option B. But it works. I had a person that worked for me, and I swear she complained all the time, and she moved like a sloth. And I literally had to sit her down and say, hey, you want to work here. You've told me that you wanted to work here. So help me help you. What can we do to make sure that you're enjoying yourself every day while you're at work? What are some things that you want to do? We sat down, we wrote a plan out. We didn't have any issues from there on. And she had good skills that she could bring to the company to help us. Okay? So those are some things that we can do for the complainers. Okay. An inadequate investment in your people leads to, I want you guys to fill in that blank. Think about everything that we've just discussed. An inadequate investment in your people leads to what? We've talked about culture, organizational structure. We've talked about the interview process. We've talked about onboarding. All of those things are important and goes into making sure that we're hiring the right person for our business needs. Yes, productivity. Yes, voids, unmet goals. Yes, it does. Duplicated work. Oh, I hate duplicated work. But it happens, and that goes back to the communication, making sure that we're communicating. Overtaxed workers, yes, that goes back to the individual that's doing everything at work. Yes, thank you guys. Most people take jobs for career development. If this is lacking, you take the risk of losing good talent. And I have seen it happen over and over and over again. And I have to be honest, in some organizations, I've told people to leave and go somewhere else because they weren't able to use their talents and they were just frustrated. They were just frustrated. So if you're frustrated and your talents are not being used, as an employee, it's time to go. It's the employer's responsibility to help. Not saying that you have to do everything. And I understand you're hiring these people because of their skills, but there's still some development there. There's still some development there. All right, we have green light, yellow light, red light. What I want you guys to do on your pieces of paper that you guys have, I want you to make 3 columns. 3 columns on the piece of paper that you guys have. 1 column will be for your green light, 1 column will be for your yellow light, and 1 column will be for your red light. For your green light, after this presentation, what's 2 things that you would change? 2 things you would change. In your yellow light, your middle column, what are 2 things that you will continue? Okay? And in the last column, your red light, what are 2 things you will stop doing? 2 things you're going to stop doing. I've put a few examples up here, and the one thing that I've heard a lot of that was the red light is stop judging. Yeah, you know, you guys, we can judge sometimes, and pointing fingers. Well, she should have faxed that paper over. We're a team, so we have to work together. So one person lacks, the whole team lacks. No pointing fingers. So your green light, your yellow light, and your red light. Keep those with you. You can continue to add to them as you want and work on the things that you have there, okay? Final thoughts. Make sure to be thoughtful of who you hire, okay? Remember that you have to have some responsibility of your employees' success. Give employees a probation period if you need to. Use the time to build a relationship with them. Pay close attention to nonverbal communication during the interview process. It's okay to give feedback from an interview. Most candidates will love to give feedback. Too often we don't give it to them. Make sure you have a solid plan in place. If you have a plan in place, you can be flexible with it. But if you don't have any plan in place, you're kind of just all over the place, okay? Make sure that your staff feels safe, meaning they can be honest and transparent without feeling threatened or judged. Make sure to encourage idea sharing and creativity amongst your team, okay? Be supportive. We know. You're the boss. We know. But respect is key to employees' engagement, okay? Respect is key to employees' engagement. That's the end. Thank you, guys. One last reflection. A lot of people weren't able to make it to this session. If you can send them a letter or a postcard, what would you put in there of what you've taken out of this presentation and how was it helpful? Like Richard Branson said, if you get the right mix of people working for your company, it will have far greater chance of success. Hope you have fun. Here's my information right here. If you guys want to send me any questions, if you're having issues and you need to brainstorm, you can email me at darrenideas@gmail.com. You can check out our site, DI Behind the Business, where we actually interview business owners and leaders in Michigan. Okay? Q&A. I think we're ready.
Oh, geez, look at that. That's so awesome.
What we got? Great job. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I'm glad you learned a lot.
They are just over here loving you. You see all this love they're loving on you, saying thank you, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
If you guys have any questions, now is the time. Any questions about her presentation, about hiring, about any of the concepts that she's gone over? Hey, now it's time. We got about 10 more minutes with her. We got a postcard response.
Okay, now there was a question, I'm going to get to that, but there was a question earlier that asked in regards to places to go for background checks. If you're a nonprofit, you can check out iChat. iChat is free for nonprofits. So you can go to iChat, you sign up for an account, and you can do it that way. If you're in the state of Michigan and you want to do a background check, you can also go through iChat for that. You can Google and ask, but I did have a list of places, if you guys can see that, some places that you can kind of go to in order to do background checks. It depends on how extensive a background check you want to do. They do cost. They can cost anywhere from $10 to $100. So it depends on what type of background checks you want to do. And then what was the postcard question?
So it looks like the postcard question was, well, not question, it was the answer. When you said, what would you put on the postcard? So we have Tiana Wallace says, postcard, be intentional in your steps. Know what qualities you're looking for and exude those so the team will follow. Informative presentation.
Thank you. And you're absolutely right. I think a lot of the times we hire people, we get them in, and then we're like, oh, this person didn't do this or that person didn't do that, but we really didn't do a good job of onboarding. Mm-hmm. Contact info again. Yes, I can go back for you and leave that up.
And while you're putting up the contact info, we got, how do you fire with confidence?
Oh. Firing with confidence. You have to make sure, that's another thing too, you have to make sure that you have a trail. You have information in regards to what this individual has done and making sure that you've corrected. So what happens is someone can be doing something and they're doing it right and the productivity is not there. They're not efficient. They're not effective. But you have to make sure that you're trying to correct that first before getting rid of them. Give them a good chance. And if you are sure that this person is not working and you've already done some of that correctiveness, then you have to sit them down, have a list, never do it by yourself. Always have someone else in the room when you're going to have to let someone go. Always have someone else in the room. If you don't have an HR person, call in another leader that's in your organization or in your business. And you sit down and you talk with them. This is what's going on. This is what happened. These are the steps that you agreed to. These things didn't happen, and therefore, we're going to have to let you go. I hope that answered your question. But make sure.
It was extremely thorough. Because oh man, not only from the hiring standpoint and being in management, but also from, I feel like I was triggered from, I'm like, wait, that's right. They did ask me in a room with two people, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
that's right. That's what happened, you know? So yeah, that makes total sense now from both ends. We do have someone who came in late and interested if this will be uploaded. Yes, it is recorded. It will not be uploaded today. However, unfortunately, all of our lovely speakers and sessions, we have so many. We are collecting them in the cloud, and they will be uploaded next week to YouTube. So I'm sorry you will not be able to have that playback right now, but definitely look forward to that and be looking out for the Detroit Startup Week's YouTube page for those uploads, okay? Because that's where you can find the replay of this wonderful presentation by Patrice. I have another one in the Q&A section. Says models for hiring students and youth.
Oh, that's a good one. Okay, so models for hiring students and youth. A lot of times when I have, so with youth, it's good if they're working within the honor society to kind of help them, because I know that they're looking to get credits for the honor society, or if they're in another organization. That's what I typically do, is work with those individuals. But if they so happen to not be in an organization or within the honor society, I kind of bring them in more so like an intern, and I sit them down and ask them what do they want to do, because with kids they can be kind of tricky. So I kind of ask them, okay, what are you looking to get out of this position, or volunteer? Because I work a lot with youth volunteers, and I do work a lot with youth high schoolers. For college students, that can get kind of tricky a little bit, because some college students are finicky. So with college students, again, I work with college students all the time, just about every day prior to the pandemic. And I've taught a few classes on different campuses. And one thing that I do discuss with them is making sure maybe you want to do an internship first, but if it's something that you're looking for in regards to a job, what is it that you're looking to do? Okay. And with college students, sometimes they're just looking for cash. So I just give them a bunch of work to do, making sure that's within their skill set, and it usually works out. I've never had to fire a college student, and I've been working with college students for 20 years.
Nice.
So,
I mean, that's really awesome.
Yeah.
Because you're right. I mean, college students, they're going to get the work done. That's awesome.
Yeah.
As long as it's within their skill set, earbuds, and they'll be fine. You know. I got another one. Looks like it's from out. Oh, nice. Hi, I am running a nonprofit organization. What kind of a team can I get in the management of a chess initiative? I am in South Africa.
So you are a nonprofit and you want to get together a team of management of a chess initiative. Chess is in the game of chess?
That's what I'm assuming based off this question.
Yeah, so kind of team can I get? You want to get individuals that have experience with playing chess. You most definitely want to get individuals that have experience with playing chess. And if you have younger kids, you want to get people that have experience working with kids. There's nothing worse than having a organization for youth and hiring people that have never had experience working with youth, because you most definitely have to watch nonverbal cues. You have to communicate with them all the time. Sometimes you have to come down to their level. Sometimes they can be very frustrating, but that's where humor comes in, and kind of understanding and getting the idea of the things that they're interested in. That's who you want. You want individuals that have experience with working with youth, and someone that has experience with teaching chess or playing chess. It might be if you don't have anyone and you're the only person that knows how to play chess, you might actually have to teach people how to play chess that have experience working with youth, so that they can help you with your chess initiative.
That's awesome. Yeah. And then it looks like we got Charles here, who said, I train high school students to be engineers and astronauts. So
that's good.
For that, because that's awesome. And teaching the youth is always a big, huge
right.
initiative effort. So definitely want to shout out to that. We had Cassandra who said, what about internships?
Internships, if college students are coming in for internships, they're serious about the field that they're going in or the organization or company that they're going in for an internship. That's their passion. They've figured it out. So with the internships, you don't want to give interns busy work, a lot of paperwork. Don't do that. Please give them work. You can give them some of that work to show them the administrative part of that, but you want to give them work that focus more so on what you do day to day within that business or within that organization. That's going to help them. Doing administrative work and filing away papers and going to get my coffee, pick up my lunch and doing a copy in this paper is teaching them nothing. And that's what an internship is for.
See, that's awesome. We got great networking going on in these comments as we learn through these amazing answers that you're providing. Because you have Charles, who's been requested for his information, and then he comes right behind with a great question. He says, tech folks sometimes have zero personality. How can you break through to uncover soft skills?
How can you break through to uncover soft skills? And you're right. I work with a lot of people in tech, and I work with a lot of individuals within STEM. And you almost have to speak their language. It's not that they really don't have personality. They're more introverts. So personality too. I didn't put a lot of the personality into this presentation because it would have went very long. But personality is another thing that you have to make sure that you pay attention when you're hiring people. And a lot of the times individuals that are in tech, they're more introverted. And so if you understand how an introvert thinks and process information, it'll be easier for you to kind of work with them to uncover those soft skills.
That's awesome. And we've got some great, again, resources dropped in the comments by Ebony. There are grants to hire runaway youths on grants.com. Grants.gov, please. Grants.gov. That's in the comments if anybody is interested for that. Wow, wonderful. Thanks for the perfect answer. I have another one. I am starting a waste tire processing plant. Am I right to say I need the following to be hired? IT, HR, legals, and marketing?
Yes, you most definitely. You're going to need that. With the IT, you're going to most definitely need someone to get in there to kind of help you with all of the technical stuff. You most definitely have to hire an HR person. Now, if you don't have an HR person, there are companies out there that actually you can hire to put together any policies or procedures or anything that you need. Make sure you email me because I can help you help with that, the HR part of it. Legal, yes, you want to make sure that you have someone that you can go to if you have any type of legal questions, especially when it comes to contracts, because contracts are tricky. And you want to make sure that you have a legal person that can kind of help you with some of the legalities when it comes to the contracts and putting things into order, especially going into the type of business that you're going to. And marketing is important as well, but I probably would do HR, legal, marketing, then IT, if that makes sense.
Oh, see, look at that. You get like in-depth, see, you can't get these types of answers anywhere else. This is Detroit Startup Week, you guys. I found a comment. I'm so sorry, Lee Crystal. I didn't see your postcard response. I'm going to go back to this. It seems like a really great way to recap this Q&A. She says, her postcard, excuse me, Lee, I'm judging. I don't know if that's a girl or a guy. Look at that. Postcard, it is important to hire people like us. Leadership is by example, not just instruction. Therefore, we must continue to practice being and becoming the people we are searching out to optimally fill and fulfill positions.
Yes, most definitely. And a lot of times I think we feel like we have to hire someone that has the same personality that we have. And I think when we look at hiring individuals that have the same personalities that we have, we lose out on other creativity and innovation that's out there. So to be able to pull us all together where we get those ideas firing, it works. I saw a couple people asking if we can connect because they're working on projects, yes, just email me at Darren Ideas. DarrenIdeas@gmail.com, and I will get back to you. If you're on my website, there's a link to where you can email me from my website, but emailing me at Darren Ideas is really good. How do I get your email? Daring, DARING, ideas, IDEAS @gmail.com.
Yeah.
And our website is DIBehindthebusiness.com. DIBehindthebusiness.com.
That's awesome. See, and you guys definitely should have been taking perfect notes. I know I definitely was taking great notes over here. I am blown away. Like I said, the perspective as an entrepreneur, but also just as someone who's, gone through the hiring process and worked for others. It's like, wow, I see what you mean there. And I spent a couple years in HR back in college. And it's funny, I was in college, but I was working in an HR building, a department for the college. They were just opening up several restaurants. And so they needed an HR department for it. And it was one of the jobs that I was tasked with as a student. And it was the last time I was in HR, but a lot of this kind of really touched on a lot of that. And that was a long time ago for me, but it definitely reminded me of kind of how I used to enjoy giving interviews and the training process and how exciting and inspiring it can be.
In-house HR versus consulting. If you have someone who does HR consulting, then they would be good. So if you have someone who's an HR consultant, you can most definitely work with them. And then that is, I can't really see that last one. Email me, and then you guys can always email me. I try to compact a lot of this in 40 minutes where I'm used to doing a full day of training and breaking everything down. But if you email me, make sure you put in there Detroit Startup Week. Okay, Detroit Startup Week, and then I will get to your email. I'm really good with email because I hate when people don't email me back. So I most definitely make sure that I email individuals back within at least 48 hours.
So go ahead and copy those comments, guys. It is 2:00. I'm sorry. I just want to make sure you guys get those comments in her email and all that information that was dropped in there because it was very useful. So make sure you get your copies going right now and check out the rest of the summit. You guys, it is Detroit Startup Week. It is Thursday. We still have great sessions and seminars coming up this evening as well as tomorrow. So I do have to get out of here and drop this down and so let other people come in. And you guys have a great day. Thank you so much, Patrice. Thank you.
Thank you. See you guys.